I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers fade as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful state I'll stay.
Welcome. We're exploring the daily lessons and finding ways to bring these simple, profound truths into our everyday lives. Thanks for joining us and making this part of your practice.
Today we're looking at Lesson 304. Let not my world obscure the sight of Christ. This one really challenges our usual assumption that what we see and experience out there, the dramas and conflicts, is the actual truth of who we are.
It suggests that the stage props of life are just that, props.
And our mission today is to understand how we might be actively blocking our own peace and how forgiveness works as this immediate way to undo that.
Let's begin with the lesson text itself. I'll read the first part. Lesson 304, let not my world obscure the sight of Christ. I can obscure my holy sight if I intrude my world upon it, nor can I behold the holy sights Christ looks upon unless it is his vision that I use. Perception is a mirror, not a fact. And what I look on is my state of mind, reflected outward. I would bless the world by looking on it through the eyes of Christ, and I will look upon the certain signs that all my sins have been forgiven me.
You lead me from the darkness to the light, from sin to holiness. Let me forgive, and thus receive salvation for the world. It is your gift, my Father, given me to offer to your Holy Son, that he may find again the memory of you and of your Son as you created him.
So right from the start, those opening lines place the responsibility squarely with us. It's an invitation, really, to step back from the constant stories, the judgments we layer onto everything.
Yeah, the focus shifts, doesn't it? Away from the narrative and towards allowing this holy vision to come forward. It's meant to override our old tired stories about how things are.
It's about moving from defining ourselves by what seems to happen to us towards recognizing the unchanging truth within us.
And that first line is so active. I can obscure my holy sight if I intrude my world upon it. It stresses that we are doing this.
It means a lack of clarity, the confusion we feel. It isn't just happening. It's presented here as an active choice, maybe unconscious, but still a choice the mind makes to keep things separate.
We're the ones, it seems, hiding the truth from ourselves.
Yeah. Let's talk about what his vision or Christ sight means in this context. It's pointing to a unified view, one that doesn't judge based on appearances.
It's the perspective that sees only wholeness, regardless of what the body's eyes report. It's about recognition, not forming new beliefs.
Okay, so with that understanding, what exactly is this world that we intrude?
It's the sum total of our personal self-made experience.
Yeah.
And we often think of the big things, right? Major debt, a serious injury, relationship breakdowns.
But the lesson implies it's much broader than that. It includes all the subtle ideas we have about ourselves, too.
Like the feeling that I'm right about politics, so I feel superior. Or holding on to being a victim because of something small that happened at work months ago.
And also the value we put on idols, things like professional status, or feeling intellectually smarter than others, or needing validation on social media. Those are all parts of my world.
Exactly. They're the bricks we use to build this wall that obscures the Christ sight. And the intrusion is how the ego takes that whole collection, grievances, self-concepts, external measuring sticks, and slaps it right onto the present moment.
The ego has to keep shoving this drama, past and future stuff in front of our holy sight, because if we actually looked with that clear vision, the ego itself would dissolve.
So the intrusion is basically self-preservation for that separated sense of self. It's the mind refusing the peace of the present because the ego needs conflict to exist. It defines itself by limitation.
So when the lesson says, let not my world obscure, it's asking us to stop identifying ourselves with all that content.
I went through a phase where this lesson became very practical. It sounds almost silly, but I kept getting emails for someone else. Not spam, but personal things, loan documents, medical stuff, bills.
Oh, wow, that sounds annoying.
At first, I tried to be helpful, contacted the companies, but they just kept coming, and my internal state went downhill fast.
You started taking it personally.
Totally. Annoyance turned into feeling genuinely offended, like my space was being violated. My mind spun this whole story about incompetence, me having to clean up messes.
And before you knew it, that annoyance became a shield, as the lesson says, blocking your awareness of the present moment's peace.
Yes, my whole attention got sucked into the injustice of these random emails. It became this manufactured crisis.
The emails themselves were neutral, just data going to the wrong place. But your mind built a whole defensive structure around it, proof that you were under attack.
The practice then wasn't about fixing the email problem. It was seeing how pointless it was to let this external glitch define my inner state. I had to consciously acknowledge, okay, I am choosing to intrude my petty world right now.
And the choice was just to stop feeding that story, to withdraw the energy.
Exactly. Stop projecting the offense. And the shift was internal. The emails probably continued for a bit. I don't even remember. But internally, I went from being a victim of incompetence to someone choosing peace.
And that internal choice is the only real point of control we have. That's the miracle, isn't it? The shift in perception.
It moves us from believing perception is passive, that the world does things to us, to realizing perception is active, chosen, and reflects back on the chooser.
Which brings us straight to that core statement. Perception is a mirror, not a fact. That's the foundation for freedom right there.
It is. Because if the world is just reflecting, like a mirror, then all the details we see, the fights, the scarcity, the illness, they aren't the fundamental issue. They're effects of choosing separation, not the actual cause of our pain.
Okay, but here's where the practical mind balks a bit. You hear perception is a mirror, but the car is broken and needs fixing. If the bank account looks empty, how does changing my mind pay the rent? We still have to deal with the world of form.
That's a really important point. The teaching distinguishes between perceiving, which is always through the body, in time and space, and inherently limited in knowing, which is the experience of reality, of unity beyond form.
So when it says perception is a mirror, it's talking about the meaning we attach, the emotional charge.
Precisely. The meaning and the feeling connected to the broken car or the lack, that's what's sourced inside you. The form is there. Yes, the car is broken. But the distress, the feeling that obscured the Christ sight, doesn't come from the metal parts. It comes from your belief that this event proves you're vulnerable or unworthy, or that God doesn't care.
The external thing is just the trigger, the blank screen for our internal beliefs to project onto. It happens in the world, but its ultimate reality, its meaning, comes from us. It mirrors our state of mind.
And we spend so much energy trying to polish that mirror, right? Trying to change the reflection, fix the car, win the argument, thinking that will bring peace.
This lesson says that whole effort is misplaced. You have to change the mind looking into the mirror.
Let's use that example of a coworker yelling, face all angry. The physical act, the sound that's happening in the world of form.
But the meaning we give it, the emotional hit it delivers, that's the reflection of our own internal state.
It's reflecting our mind, not necessarily theirs. Think about how different people might react to the exact same outburst. The external action is the same loud voice, angry face.
Observer one might see it as pitiful. They see the person as unhappy, calling for love. Their response reflects compassion, an ability to see past the attack form.
Observer 2 feels deeply offended, takes it personally, feels attacked, gets defensive, or feels shame. That reaction reflects their own belief in vulnerability, the need for ego defenses to protect a fragile sense of self.
Then Observer 3 might find the whole drama kind of absurd, almost funny. They react with detachment, don't engage with the fear.
See, one external event, multiple internal reactions. The feeling fear, offense, superiority, pity comes entirely from the belief system inside the observer.
The mirror just reports back our state of mind. It uses the coworker or the car or the diagnosis as a prop. We see our own investment in separation staring back at us.
So the aim isn't to fix the prop, the coworker's behavior. It's to recognize where the reflection is coming from.
And we use Christ's vision, that unified perspective, not to get drawn into the appearance, not to argue, not to worry about the symptom, but to recognize the appearance itself isn't the final fact.
It's not a fact because it's temporary, subjective, and depends entirely on a fearful interpretation. The vision corrects the mind that's being mirrored.
So the practice involves stopping the obsession with the details of the reflection, how loud the voice was, the exact words used, and choosing the Christ vision instead. The correction is made internally.
Right where the error started, in the mind.
And that's the moment freedom happens. When we choose to see the mind behind the reflection, our perception shifts. We stop seeing an attacker.
We start seeing a brother, maybe calling for love in a distorted way. The broken car stops being proof of cosmic neglect and becomes just a situation offering a chance to practice peace.
The external thing loses its power to hurt us because we take our own belief in victimhood out of it. We withdraw the fear we projected onto the form.
The noise might still be there in the world. The yelling continues, the car still needs repair, but the conflict vanishes from our mind. That internal peace is the goal, is the only goal offering real satisfaction.
And the lesson insists we must choose his vision. We have to, because our own personal vision, based on fear and grievances, is what created the illusion to begin with.
Our usual sight is built on separation and judgment. Christ's vision is built on unity and holiness. Choosing it means choosing to see that fundamental holiness behind whatever reflection is showing up.
It means recognizing that your Holy Son refers to that shared perfect identity, the Christ self, that's underneath the fearful masks we all wear.
And that's the path we're shown.
Yeah.
From the darkness to the light, from sin to holiness.
That clarity, recognizing our shared self, is what the lesson aims for. And it promises practical results, not just theory. It guarantees proof.
Yes, it defines forgiveness not as pardoning sin, but seeing the sin never truly happened as the way to receive salvation. And it promises, and I will look upon the certain signs that all my sins have been forgiven me.
Certain signs, not maybe, not hopefully. Certain signs, verifiable proof that the correction happened in our mind.
So what do these signs look like in practice? They aren't always big external changes, sometimes those follow. The real sign is that immediate, undeniable end to internal conflict.
It's letting go of the need to argue or defend yourself or feel wounded.
It's that feeling of quiet, that deep relief that washes over you, replacing the fear or anxiety. It's a quiet joy, a sudden knowing that you're completely guiltless right now, no matter what the world seems to be saying.
When you forgive someone, meaning you withdraw your belief in their error, their attack. The peace you feel is the sign. It's the evidence your own mind has been forgiven, corrected. That peace is undeniable.
It's like you can almost hear the shield of annoyance or grievance just drop.
I experienced this intensely once. I had a job fresh out of training and they give me over 100 clients immediately. It was impossible.
Wow, talk about pressure.
And I became so self-critical, I can't keep up. I'm gonna fail, they'll fire me. My whole sense of worth got tangled up in whether I could manage this impossible workload. That was my world totally obscuring the sight of Christ.
That external measure became your identity.
Completely. The real pressure wasn't the client list. It was the self-judgment. The belief that my value depended on clearing that list. I was constantly attacking myself for not being good enough.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. One morning, the anxiety was just crushing. I couldn't even think straight. I paused and realized I was projecting all this lack onto myself, using the job as justification for feeling flawed.
So you stopped.
I stopped, took a breath, and made a conscious choice to forgive the self-judgment, to try and look at myself with Christ's sight instead, as the Holy Son the lesson speaks of.
And what happened?
Instantly, the need to perform just vanished. The internal battle stopped. Now, the client list was still huge. The external situation hadn't changed an inch. But the fear of failure, the real source of the suffering, it just collapsed.
That feeling of freedom was the certain sign, the internal release from judging your worth by that external thing. That's the proof the lesson promises.
Exactly. The peace I felt was the direct result of the forgiveness I extended to myself by withdrawing the judgment. The pressure wasn't the list, it was the self-imposed idea that my identity depended on it.
Forgiveness is that willingness to see differently, and it proves itself immediately by letting us see the world as blessed, because our own condemnation is gone.
So let's quickly recap the main ideas from Lesson 304. First, the foundation. Your experience of the world is always reflecting your inner choice. Remember, perception is a mirror, not a fact.
The details you see outside are just showing you your current state of mind.
Second, the solution is an active, conscious choice. You have to choose the vision of Christ over the fearful way you usually see. Actively replace the old stories and grievances with that holy sight.
And third, the practice for doing this daily is forgiveness. Lifting that veil of your own judgment, deciding the errors you perceive aren't facts. When you do that, you receive the certain signs, that immediate internal peace.
That peace is the undeniable proof your mind has accepted correction and recognized its own innocence.
So we invite you to join us in this today. When you notice yourself feeling judgmental or anxious, or you feel that intrusion of your personal world starting to cloud your vision, just pause.
Take a breath and silently affirm to yourself, let not my world obscure the sight of Christ.
We're making that shift right alongside you. Peace is our only function here. Join us tomorrow for Lesson 305.